Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. A couple of quick disclaimers. I'm 70 years old, so I don't want to hear anybody moaning about how they're too old to figure out technology, because I'm just going to mock you mercilessly if you do. I'm going to share my screen with you now. I got a PowerPoint slideshow because it's probably more attractive to look at than my mug. So, everybody see the slideshow? So I call my topic From Big Firm to Nano-Virtual. This is just kind of my personal story. It's probably overstating it to say big firm. It was only 550 lawyers in my last big firm. And it's probably overstating it to say nano, so it's probably more like micro virtual or desktop virtual or something like that. Couple of disclaimers. I'm not an expert in legal technology per se. This is just my story, my view, my opinions for what they're worth. Everyone has an opinion or more. And my experience, it may not work to you and you can't rely on it, you can't sue me, enough said. Mark Andreessen kind of said it best, software is eating the world, and it definitely is. Now it's eating the legal system, as if it hadn't already started doing that quite some time ago. I thought this cartoon kind of sums it up. My report comes to the conclusion that cloud technology is of no use, so I'll upload it to Dropbox so you can take a look at it. People are using the cloud without even realizing it. And by the way, I sometimes cruelly joke that not all lawyers, but some lawyers, maybe even many lawyers, and I said this to rooms full of lawyers, many lawyers go to law school to escape math, science, accounting, and software. Well, nice try. You can run maybe, but you can't hide. A bit of background, I used to be a rock and blues musician. I bought my first computer in 1979 and went to law school at the University of Alberta in 1980. I first got online in 1989, fooling around with the Usenet. Anybody here remembers that? And I had a CompuServe account when they came out. And then I saw the World Wide Web launch on or about August 6, 1991. I knew it was coming. I actually said, holy expletive deleted, this changes everything when I saw it. And started thinking immediately about how I could do legal work on the web. I enrolled in the world's first online MBA program in 1994. It was actually Canadian at Athabasca University, and it was completely virtual. You didn't see anybody except for 2 weekends and 1 week-long residency requirement where you actually went and encountered people face to face. So we ran into the interesting phenomena of getting to know people online without actually seeing what they looked like. There was actually a cartoon in the New Yorker in 1993, a couple of dogs playing with a computer and one saying to the other, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Well, people kind of started at that point guessing as to, you know, what other classmates looked like. So I'm basically a cyber dare. I shaved my head, and that's where that comes from, and I've never gone back. I was on the ACTLA board from 1988 to 2000. When I was doing that MBA, my dissertation project was actually the ACTLA website, the listserv, and the expert witness database, which used to be in volumes, binders actually, of sheets of paper that were kept in 2 or 3 copies in various lawyers' offices. And if you wanted to access it, you had to phone up a lawyer and drive over and flip through the binder and maybe make photocopies. And there was never any guarantee that the binder was up to date and that all the copies of it in various lawyers' offices are actually congruent. So sometimes something might be missing. And yeah, I also launched a internet law firm in the 1990s with a significant virtual component. I had clients all over the world from Finland to Australia. I could write a book about it. It was crazy. And then in 2000, some headhunters started calling, and finally one made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I joined Big Law. I went to the dark side. On December 31st, 2018, I left Big Law, so I spent 18 years, sitting in office towers and being a partner and driving a cool car and all of those things. Those days are now gone. So I launched swansonlaw.ca on January 1, 2019, so a year and roughly 5 months ago. The #1 key to success in doing this is planning, 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 like location, location, location in real estate. It's a completely virtual and solo practice. I had the advantage of being able to leverage current clients that I had. I have some clients that I've acted for since the 1990s, in fact, that are still with me. And my network and my reputation and all of that. But it does give you the benefit of something I like to call lawyer math. And by the way, all my numbers are very, very rough and rounded because they just look better when they're rounded. So you reduce your overhead about 90% and you reduce your billing rate about 40% and you pocket the difference, and your clients love the 40% part. So it works very well. I purchased a LinkedIn Platinum account in advance, probably a year, maybe almost 2 years before. And about 6 months before I was planning to launch, I started posting like crazy. And I even had one client I know asked me, "Are you thinking of going on your own or something? Because all of a sudden you're very active." And I just said, "Well, I don't know, I'm just posting." But in December 2018, I had the website and the new LinkedIn profile ready to go. And after singing Old Lang Syne and downing another couple of drinks, I went and clicked publish, and it was all live. I built the website and I currently host it on Wix, which is only one of many services you can use. It's really easy. I now operate as paperless as possible. I'm sitting right now in what I like to call my home operations center, or sometimes the home office with a capital H and a capital O, like in England, or as David Letterman used to joke about. So I run 2 computers. One's a desktop, the other one's a dockable surface. I have a total of 6, 2 keyboards, 2 printers. One's a really good printer, lousy scanner. The other one's a really good scanner, lousy printer. They don't get used very much. I'm afraid they may break down from lack of use. My only phone is a cell phone. You need a fax to do some of the litigation work I do. I use eFax. I don't have the machine. It's just a virtual fax. You can just pick a file from anywhere on your computer and send it off as a fax. You don't even have to PDF a Word file. It comes out the other end looking the same. I do not run a trust account. And you're going to say, well, how do you make sure you get paid? Well, first of all, I have clients I trust and that have a track record. But secondly, I actually phoned the Law Society about this. You can pre-authorize a credit card, and that's not considered trust. So Moneris, for example, will allow you to do that up to very large amounts. I've done as high as $10,000, and it will hold you for a week or two. So if you're going to do a big bit of work, you can get the client's credit card, pre-authorize it, do the work, send out the bill, and about the time the client opens the bill, you've already paid yourself. I use sync.com, which keeps data in Canada, which allows me to mirror folders on the 2 computers I use, plus on an iPad I have, and actually on my cell phone as well. So everything goes up into the cloud and is stored in a secure repository in Canada, and then it replicates or duplicates itself onto all the computers you have connected to it. I'm using Office 365 with GoDaddy security and a couple of other security packages. I practice in cybersecurity, so better not be me that clicks on a stupid link. So far, so good. I'm crossing my fingers and touching wood. So here's kind of a very rough and rounded number summary of what it costs to do what I do. And these are the monthly recurring expenses. Some of them are fairly big ticket. LexisNexis, I have Practice Advisor and Quick Law. That's kind of an option. You don't really need that, but I find it very useful. Practice Advisor in particular, it's like being in a really big firm with a ton of precedents without being in a really big firm. I spent some money on search engine optimization, or SEO. I started to do that myself. I used to be really good at SEO in the 90s. I realized that I'm not really good at SEO anymore, and I really don't have time to learn. So I just hired somebody to do it. That's what I pay for it. I get regular reports. It certainly lit up my website once I got them on the file. Regis is an office services supplier. That's how much it costs a month to have a virtual office where you can have mail and courier deliveries. They email you immediately when something comes in, so you know whether to drive down or send a courier to pick it up. I practice it on my house. I do not want my home address online, so I don't have it online. So that's what my office rent is, $82 a month. It's one of my lower expenses. So goodbye landlord. And by the way, I have no staff, so goodbye payroll and HR. LawPay is a monthly credit card standby charge. I take most of my payments by credit card or direct transfer to my banking account, my operating account. Like I said, no trust account. about 100 for internet connectivity. So it adds up to ballpark about $1,000 a month I got to pay. And I pay it all on a credit card, one credit card, and I get cash back on that. Annually, the loss already is just under 7,000. I'm also a registered trademark agent, so I insure myself for that, and I have to pay $300 to be registered. There's LinkedIn, which I have to pay for annually, but that's what it is monthly. I use Clio, which is a great platform for accounting and time billing, and you can also upload emails into it, upload files to it in the cloud as well if you want to. It's a Canadian company, but it does operate out of the States. They look American because they're based in Austin, Texas. They're actually Canadian. Website, I bought a bunch of domain registrations. That's roughly what it costs. There's some office supplies. I actually did have business cards printed. I still have most of them because I don't use them very much. Internet connectivity I actually have in there again. Accounting and tax, can't escape that. I spent some money on marketing, probably about $3,000. It's going to vary every year, and then add in a total monthly on the prior slide, and you end up at about $2,600 a month, which is so much less than what it used to cost me in overhead. In terms of my initial outlay, well, I just went on a hardware shopping spree, and mostly on Amazon. I didn't leave my house to pick up most of the stuff right on my doorstep. I spent about $7,000 because I'm kind of a gadget geek and I like stuff like that, so I bought it. So how has the pandemic affected me? Really not very much. There was a bit of a revenue drop, which I'm now making up this month. No more face-to-face meetings, most of which are Starbucks, a lot more Zoom and GoToMeeting and so on. I still have the same incredibly long commute to the office. My office is in a walk-up basin at the back of my house, so I can walk out in my backyard. So I have to come down the stairs from the kitchen. So spilled coffee continues to be a significant workplace issue. My managing partner is still an idiot, and I have absolutely no dress code. Some days I'm in my pajamas until about noon when I realize I better get just dressed for the office and put on a t-shirt and sweats. I actually did a software licensing deal with the Nigerian national oil company last year on behalf of a client based in Edmonton. And the Nigerians are, if you've ever dealt with them, their business culture is very, very formal. They really dress up, bow ties and suspenders, everything. If they would have been able to see me, they would have been horrified. A little bit about my background, how things were when I started articles. About 7 billable hours a month covers my overhead, and that pretty much is the presentation I have. So if you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.